We can solve quadratic equations by taking the square root sometimes. They have to be in a certain form, but that is an option for us to solve them. But before we actually work on solving an equation, let's just introduce ourselves to a couple things. A number r is a square root of a number if r squared equals s. So all that's saying is that if a number r is squared, then that number has to be the square root. So vocabulary to learn, I won't necessarily use the word radicand too often. I'll usually just say radical. But if you guys had the square root of 14, the whole radical itself is the square root of 14 there in that first box. The radical sign is just the root part, and then the radicand is the part underneath the square root or underneath the radical sign. So we've worked with radicals a little bit before. So you guys kind of know the product and the quotient property. But it works both ways. So say you have A and B separated from each other, you can multiply them together if they're under that same root and get the product of AB. Vice versa, you can separate them. It just kind of depends on which way benefits you if you're going to do it. And the same thing goes with division or a quotient. If you guys have the square root of A over the square root of B, you can make it just the square root of A over B. So you can separate them or put them together, whatever kind of works or benefits you for what you're doing. So like the square root of 12 times 3 can become the square root of 36, which is 6, so it would benefit you there to multiply them together. And the square root of 48 over the square root of 3, well, if you guys would put that under one radical and divide 48 by 3, you would get 16. The square root of 16 is 4.